What are the implications of increasing access to privatized healthcare in America?
Our claim is that the price of privatized healthcare in America affects the Americans by prohibiting some from being able to afford healthcare, and for those who can, increasing or decreasing the quality.
Kimberly Almadia, who's been an experienced economic analyst for over 20 years, explains, of those who had trouble paying their medical bills, 73% skimped on groceries, clothing, or rent. 60% used up their savings, and more than 40% took on extra work to pay the bills. Since healthcare takes up 43% of the cost that businesses must pay, it takes the greatest cost pressure on U.S. businesses. Privatized health insurance takes up most of the national health expenditures that Americans must pay. And public and private health insurance is increasing by billions of dollars each year, and Americans cannot afford to keep up with this, so many of them resort to not purchasing healthcare. An overall solution to this would be to create a government-regulated plan for those in need and lowering the cost of privatized healthcare. An example of this would be Medicaid because it is low in cost and it is government-regulated. A study done in Ghana and Kenya shows how those who pay with healthcare for government regulated are treated unfairly compared to those who pay in cash.
Social impacts. Van Newkirk is a writer for TheAtlantic.com and has a special focus on health policy. In this quote, he says, "The American insurance system is designed to make healthcare financially unpleasant, often to where point patients forego necessary care." In this quote, he's just stating that healthcare is so expensive that people just don't even get it, and that leads to them avoiding the doctor. And when you avoid the doctor, it leads to not getting the necessary care they need. In this graph, in this chart, it shows that for all the uninsured non-elderly adults in 2017, 45% of the non-insured non-elderly adults they didn't get insurance because the cost is way too high, and that's taken up by 45% of the non-insured non-elderly adults. Social solutions and limitations. A solution for social is that healthcare prices could be lowered, and that it would be more affordable for the low-income families. And the limitations for the solution are that healthcare prices can lower, and it will help people, but not everybody will be able to still afford the healthcare, even if the prices were lower.
History has shown many impacts that privatized healthcare makes on America. The price affects the innovations that are made, so when people buy privatized healthcare, all the money that they don't use that comes from their healthcare goes towards research, and that helps to make new medications and procedures. The price also has affected the economy, so the price of privatized healthcare has been steadily increasing, so at that constant rate, the economy would be affected in an unpredictable way. And as Hannah and Jared both said, the price also affects consumers. So when the price is too high, people can't afford healthcare. So in order to afford healthcare, they often forgo necessary things that they need to live, such as paying rent and buying enough food. And the price also affects the quality of care that people get. So with increased price of healthcare, it in turn leads to increased quality of healthcare. So this graph here shows that 57% of the new drugs come from the United States. This is partly due to the fact that places like Japan and the UK and Germany have a different way to pay for healthcare. So their healthcare is more government regulated. So they don't have a lot of money that is able to be put towards research because it's coming from the government. This chart shows that in the 1940s, a new way to pay for healthcare came about called prepaid healthcare. This allowed for a lot more people to be able to afford healthcare and pay for it. So there's a lot more money that was being able to be put towards research. So in the 1950s, many new medications and treatments came about which could treat things such as arthritis. New vaccines were created to prevent childhood diseases, and the first successful organ transplant was performed. So with all this in mind, the best solution historically would be to keep the price of healthcare at a constant, and for those who still cannot afford healthcare, to have the government pay for them. But people may not want to pay in taxes for others' healthcare. It might be hard to decide on the requirements that people have to meet in order to be able to receive the healthcare, and bias towards those with government-funded healthcare might be seen in doctors' offices and hospitals.
Just as Megan evaluated the constants in the past with pricing, it has been predicted that these prices will continue on into the future. As of right now, a common healthcare plan for a family of four costs about $28,166 a year. As Hannah's previously stated, the median annual income for a family in the U.S. is $59,000 a year. However, many make below this threshold, which means that even those who do make this money and those below can find it very hard to live comfortably while also still getting their necessities and their health care. In the case of these numbers were lowered, such as proposed in both Jared and Hannah's solutions, such as 1% above GDP, which is much lower than the current growth rate, individual income would be greatly increased. Researchers Auerbach and Kellerman, who have dedicated their research to working class health insurance, have found that with this changing growth rate, income will be increased by $600 a month. However, even with these higher costs, it has been predicted that an average health insurance plan will become half of household income in 12 years and all of household income in 2042. As you can see in this graphic from the study done by Young and DeVoe, the black line with the circles is the family income, and the black line with the squares is the family health insurance premium, and as you can see, they cross, and then they continue to go up. When this happens, millions of Americans will stop paying for health care, and this can hurt the health of the nation as a whole. Through futuristic research, the best solution with the future in mind is the creation of mandatory government-funded health care. It has been found that national health insurance in the UK has increased lifetime by 0.61 on average. By removing privatized healthcare altogether, everyone would have a uniform plan and nobody would pay a premium. This would eliminate the biased care that Hannah talked about in the study from Kenya and Ghana. As shown in Megan's solution, however, privatized healthcare premiums and the extra money goes towards funding new procedures and new medications. Without this money, many lives could be at risk and it could possibly stint medical research into the future, hurting the rest of the world.
An overall solution to this would be to create a government-funded healthcare that is low in cost and has maximized benefits for Americans who cannot afford it.
Some limitations for this solution are that Congress may not agree to pass the law, taxpayers may refuse to pay for others' health care, coming up for requirements that will meet everyone's needs. And this brings into question again the Ghana and Kenya study that Hannah brought up.
This would be the best solution historically because, as seen in the past, the price of healthcare affects the innovations that are able to be made. And for people who could not afford healthcare in the past, the government will be able to pay for them.
In terms of the benefits of this solution futuristically, with prices kept at a constant, as Megan has already stated, new medications and procedures would continue to be created, and this would benefit the health of Americans and could possibly extend the lifespan of Americans into the future. By creating a new system of government-funded healthcare, it would expand the amount of people to be able to have healthcare more into the future.
Economically, this solution would best be fit because with a low cost, Americans will now be able to afford healthcare without having to skimp on groceries and rent.
Socially, this will work because it has to affect everybody in the social classes and make sure that it financially works for everybody's social class.
Through all of our research, we have come to the conclusion that this is the best solution realistically and being able to happen and has the most benefits.
This is our work site.
Okay, a few questions for you. I'm going to start with you, Aubrey. How did the group decide to include Hannah's perspective, lens, or conclusion to the overall presentation?
We decided to include Hannah's perspective of the economics of everything and how it affected the low-income families mostly and how much the pricing had increased. And we kind of brought it into each of our parts of our presentation for each lens. Specifically for me, I brought in a lot about how the income, it'll become half of income over time, and that really came from a lot of Hannah's economic findings.
Okay. Hannah, in the future, what change would you make to your group norms, and how would you expect that to improve the team presentation?
For group norms, I would say to probably rehearse a little more. I mean, we rehearsed a lot, but outside of class more, and just overall reversing poverty.
Okay. Megan, in what way did you improve your ability to work with the group as a result of this project?
When we were coming up with ways to include everybody's solutions and to make sure that a solution like matched everybody's perspective the best, I had some like trouble like agreeing with everybody on what the best solution would be. So we kind of like I learned how to like more like collaborate and discuss with people on what the best solution is for everybody, not just specifically what it would be for me.
Okay. And then finally, Jared, what is a way in which your team's resolution makes you think differently about your own individual research?
Well, my solution for my paper was to lower healthcare prices, and for the presentation, we came up with the solution of just keeping it at a constant. And they gave me good evidence to like how to make it a constant and how it should stay that way and how it wouldn't affect everybody in a bad way. To where I had in my paper how it would affect people majorly and why it should be lowered, but for overall, that's how we came up with that solution.
Okay.